Hey everyone, I'm on a dock by some water, and I just wanted to talk about apologizing when you're wrong and how it can be very difficult to do. And I was sort of reflecting and just thinking about why. And the first reason that comes to mind for why it's difficult to apologize after you have wronged someone else is because you likely did things with good intentions, and whatever situation that happened between you and another person probably wasn't meant to happen the way it did, or there may have been a misunderstanding somewhere along the lines which created a problem, or there can be miscommunication errors, which sort of falls in line with like misunderstanding. But I think it can be really hard to apologize to somebody when we have good intentions with things and then our good intentions sort of fall flat or miss the mark. Or sometimes we may overlook what another person actually wants or actually feels because we're more focused on ourselves or the reality that we want, and we kind of forget to pay attention to other people. Or we do pay attention to other people, but sometimes it's hard to give the same amount of care towards other people as you give to yourself. And that can also cause situations where you might need to apologize to someone. And I think that can be very difficult when you didn't mean to do anything wrong towards someone, but you wind up doing so anyway, and you still have to apologize. But honestly, I think it might be even more difficult to apologize when you do something out of malicious. Is that a word? I don't know. But when you do something out of anger or out of spite, and you know that you had a bit of ill will inside of your heart or your soul when you did something, and then after you have wronged someone and you've hurt their feelings or you've caused them stress or that kind of thing, and the dust settles, the smoke clears, and there's clarity, and you realize, wow, I was a real bitch. Like, why did I feel the need to do that? Why did I feel the need to treat that person that way? And I think it can be even harder to apologize to someone in that situation because you have to acknowledge your bad side. You have to acknowledge that there's a part of you that you let out that isn't very good, that you don't feel very proud of. It's shameful, and that's why you don't really expose that side of you very often. And I think that can be even harder to apologize for than when it's just a simple misunderstanding or a miscommunication or something like that, because when you've done something intentionally to hurt somebody else, even if you felt justified, little acts of vengeance, it can be really difficult to admit that you were like that because, it doesn't sound good. It doesn't make you seem like a really good person or anything. It's gonna give people maybe a negative impression of you. But at the same time, it shows that you're willing to acknowledge that you're not perfect, that you may have done something out of anger, and it shows that you're willing to try and better it, or that maybe you were just having a really, really bad day and you truly acted out of character for yourself in the moment. And I'm not just saying like you have to go key someone's car. I'm saying like in a conversation, you might be able to sense that there's some tension or that another person is sort of speaking to you in a way that you don't agree with. And instead of just sort of letting it roll off your back or, giving them the benefit of the doubt, you maybe snap at them or you quote unquote give them back the same energy, and then you end up being like way more disrespectful than they are because you're thinking like that. And I think it can be also pretty difficult after you've realized, oh, maybe that person wasn't really being a type of way with me. Maybe I was just kind of taking things the wrong way. And then because of that, I chose to act like a see you next Tuesday. I think it is really hard once you take a step back and you realize in certain situations that you are the problem and other people were not the problem. It is very difficult to acknowledge that to other people and admit, yeah, maybe this time I could have been better. Because I think a lot of us feel like it opens the door for never-ending criticism, never-ending, never-ending apologies. Like, if I admit that I was wrong here, I'm gonna have to admit that I was wrong all the time. But the thing is after you apologize, you just do your best not to repeat mistakes or choices. And as long as you do that, it really shouldn't be an issue from there on out. And if there are new issues in the future, you just take them as they come and you do your best to make it right. But I think no matter what, even if another person isn't receptive to it, and even if another person doesn't care, I think it's important for human beings to admit when they're wrong and when they've done wrong to other people or hurt other people. And I think it's good for people who get hurt, but I think it's also good for the perpetrator, because the only way we can ever grow or change and evolve as individuals is if we acknowledge when we have shortcomings and when we do things that we're not so proud of. Because if we don't acknowledge those things and we just sort of sweep it under the rug, eventually by the end of your lifetime, your rug is going to have a very huge pile underneath. Like, I don't know. That's just not the way to do it, in my opinion. And I don't know. I am kind of in that situation right now where I've had to sort of realize like I was the problem in a situation, and I kind of had to adjust myself a bit. And sitting here by the water, listening to the birds and everything else, just sort of motivated me to do this video. So that's what I did, I guess. And I think it's also important to expect apologies or like expect other people to make it right as well. And if someone else has done something where they're like clearly in the wrong and then they're not willing to acknowledge it or fix it or make it right, I also think it's important to stay safe around those people and to keep very, very safe distance from them. And just because you're willing to acknowledge your wrongdoing, or you're willing to apologize to somebody when you've done something to them, it doesn't mean that they're going to do the same to you. So, like, just because you have a coworker who you're willing to apologize to if you ever offend them or anything, it doesn't mean that they're ever going to apologize when they offend you or when they do something, to you. And it's also important to realize that not everybody is going to have that capacity. And so if you come across someone who just will not apologize, will not take accountability, will not make things right, it is just better to let them be, let them live in their own miserable world. Don't try to make it any more miserable. Don't try to add to it, because they're already adding to it themselves every day. So sometimes I'm kind of that person, and I'm trying not to be like that. Maybe we're all like that sometimes, but I think that's the end of this video. So I'll talk again later. Bye.